Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode in this series, Conversations with Shelly. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, thank you so much. Welcome. I'm Shelly. And for those of you who have been here for quite some time with me, sticking and staying as always, welcome back. Always a pleasure having you. Thank you for maintaining your presence. Thank you for the love and support. So, I want to bring a topic for discussion, for provocative thought to you in this episode because it is something that I have often wondered about, and more recently, as at Monday, I was having a conversation with a young lady, and she said to me, um, Miss Shelley, you don't know anybody that want an administrator. She was asking for a job, right? And I thought to myself, this is something that I come across so often within my day-to-day, activities and the day-to-day traversing that I do when I go to, corporate offices or just in my everyday legal practice. Somebody's always asking, if there isn't a job or something that I can offer or can assist them in getting. And usually at the end of those conversations, I usually ask the question, why? Because you're in a job, you're in an employment situation. And the resounding answer all the time is, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Now, I thought to myself, there's so many responses that I could have expected. Maybe it's not a good environment, or, maybe, they want to pursue other things in life and it's not aligned with their pursuit of happiness. But while those reasons will come, on a scale of 9 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, usually that's not the main reason, or those aren't the reasons that I get more frequent than not. So you can imagine when I realize that a lot of persons are wanting new source of employment or new source of um, you know income, because the reason is they are literally living from one paycheck to the next. And I thought I needed to give some insight into what exactly this means for a lot of persons who find themselves in this situation. And it is nothing new. It is nothing that we have not experienced before. It is not something that I myself have not experienced in some way, shape, or form throughout my lifetime, um, professionally and more so contractually, working for persons. And it begged me to want to dive a little bit deeper into, why is it that so many persons, regardless of where you are, regardless of what you do, regardless of what title you have, you find yourself continuously living paycheck to paycheck? What is really at the heart and foundation? What is at the nucleus of this living, this type of living? And this is exactly what this episode intend to release and give us some insights and ideas into, right? So living paycheck to paycheck is one of the things that I have often looked at, and I said this has to be tied to some form of capitalism, some form of capitalist society, and some form of capitalist way of living must be the root as to why a lot of us live paycheck to paycheck. And this is not in any way unrelatable, but it is a provocative question, you know? Is living paycheck to paycheck a capitalist way? And why do millions of people work non-stop but still feel broke every month? Is it bad money management? Is it bad money habits? Is it bad spending habits? Or is it just the system itself? So, what is true in terms of statistics is that more than 60% of people live paycheck to paycheck, even those who are earning six figures. So today we're diving into why living paycheck to paycheck isn't just personal, and it might be something that is baked into the economic system that we live in, you know? And what I intend to do through this discussion is to explore how this ideology called capitalism, rising cost, wage structures, all play a role in what we can do with our income and what we can do for ourselves about it. So, the first thing I want to dive into is what living paycheck to paycheck really means. What does it mean to say and to tell somebody that you're living paycheck to paycheck? Well, let's explain the concept in the simplest of way that we can. It means essentially that what you're spending is exactly equivalent to what you're earning. So your expense is exactly equal to your income. So some common signs of that very simplistic definition is you have no savings and you find yourself using credit to cover your basic essentials. So you want to go to the supermarket and you have to rely on a credit facility, some line of credit to do that, right? You find yourself stressed before you even get to payday. These are some of the telltale signs that you are living paycheck to paycheck because your expenses are equivalent to what your income is. But what is the role that capitalism play within this mode or this mode of operating? You know, uh, one of the things that is certain about a capitalist society and something that should not be missed by any one of us is that capitalism is influenced by market forces. So when you talk about your feeling that your wages often lag behind inflation, so things are rising, things are escalating, the price of things are going up, but your salary is way behind them, way behind the things that are rising, the things that are going up, right? And this is how you know that it is being driven and influenced by what is happening in the marketplace. Because at the end of the day, no matter what is taking place where inflation is concerned, your money, your wage, your income is just always lagging behind. Then you also have to look at the rising costs of things like housing, healthcare, education. These things continue to rise, they continue to impact you, and you can't seem to get a grasp at any of these things. Yeah? You can't seem to get a grasp at owning your own home. Healthcare, you may have to rely on a public system. Similarly, when it comes to your education, you find that you may very well have to rely on a public system as well. There's no room for you to choose a private way of being, you know, learned. Then you have to also look at the consumer culture and how it encourage spending, you know. And these are some of the things that you know are driven by market forces, and some of the things that make you realize how much you are living from one paycheck to another. Because at the end of the day, what is happening is that you are trapped in a system that only rewards spending, consumption, and it does very little to encourage saving. You're working for somebody, and the job that you're doing doesn't encourage you to save. It pays you just enough to get you back there on the wheels doing it all over again. So, what is personal versus the systemic factors that are playing in this wheel, this constant hamster wheel that you're on? So, the personal things is having to understand, implement, and start that process of budgeting. understanding debt, evaluating your lifestyle choices, and then having those things align so that they are not running behind or beside, but they are always running in front of what is systemic, such as a stagnant wage, a wage that is never increasing, inflation that is increasing, job insecurity that is constantly hanging over your head. Yeah? So these are some of the things that need to be in place when you talk about getting your hands on this paycheck to paycheck way of living. You have to know, understand, and dissect what are the personal factors that you have to know get a rein on, get a grip on, vis-a-vis those systemic things that you personally don't have any control over, but you can control your lifestyle choices. You can control the amount of debt you get yourself into. You can control how you budget yourself, all considering the stagnant wage, the growing inflation, and the ever daunting reality of that job security that we spoke about. But how do you break the cycle? How do you, having understood that you need those personal factors to always be ahead of the systemic factors, how do you break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck? What are some actionable things that you can consider and you can employ and you can do in order to just be free of this, capitalist way of living? The first one I'm going to tell you is that you have to engage in budgeting. You have to engage in what is called pay yourself first kind of a thing. A budget act, something that you're doing that is for you. Engage in things that are allowing you to put aside and understand emergency fund and the importance of having emergency funds. Then there is this way of breaking this cycle, and a lot of persons will scoff at it, but having a side hustle, having something that is a, an almost impassive income, and avoid lifestyle inflation. Avoid changing your lifestyle in such a way that you don't know how to support the changes. I know I've joked about, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, but the reality of avoiding these lifestyle inflation things is exactly that. Don't get into this habit of wanting to keep up with your neighbors and your friends, because at the end of the day, it is one of those silent things that is going to eat at you, cause you to have anxiety and depression. So, what am I leaving with you when it comes to understanding why we're in this cycle of living paycheck to paycheck? What is it that I want to leave with you in understanding how to break that cycle? And the thing that I want to leave with you is that living paycheck to paycheck is not about bad luck. It's not about bad planning or a symptom of you doing something ill or something wrong. It is much bigger than that. It is much bigger than you thinking those things. It is more about an economic system, a capitalist system that you really have no control over, but you can control how you behave and navigate within that system. So, the call to action for me and the call to action that I want to give to you is think of capitalism as something that is inevitable. Think of capitalism and the principles that allow capitalism to flourish are principles that you yourself, in your personal growth and development, have to find a way to combat. Right? So you have to now look at those personal factors that will drive you to see what the capitalism is doing and be able to say, not today. not me and not my way of living. Yeah. I know this was a short one. It wasn't intended to give too much into the whys and the hows of living paycheck to paycheck because those things can vary for everybody. But what I wanted to drop it in your spirit and within your soul is the idea that you are living in a capitalist world, a world that is not designed for you to have financial success. And if you're not making deliberate actions or you're not taking deliberate steps, you're going to fall victim of this system. And some of the things that you can take control over is understanding your budget, understanding your lifestyle, and reframing from those lifestyle inflations that we spoke about, and understanding that at the end of the day, you don't need to have any debts. You don't need to be owing for things that are not critical within your life. You don't owe persons for something that you can exist without and exist comfortably without. Yeah? So if this resonated with you in any way, as I always say, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Share your opinions. Let me know, how has your experience been living paycheck to paycheck? What are some of the things that you have not been able to achieve because you're a part of this systemic wheel? Let me know. I'm interested to know exactly how you've fared out. And thank you as always for sticking and staying and for being here for this little 20 minutes, discussion, this 20 minutes provocative thought that I wanted to share with you. And until I see you next, you hear from me next, please do take care.